Hello, my name's Cody Hall, and this is the Faces Podcast. Today, I'm welcoming a wonderful guest who is not only a veteran, a mom, but a leader in agile AI and technology development. Today, she's going to bring forth the balance between how she not only paid a career in the military, but also turned around, succeeded in the corporate world, and then later on decided to take that jump. Her best advice is just do it. And I'm really happy to welcome Heather to the podcast. So join me. Heather, welcome to the Faces Podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm very excited to have a conversation with you, not only because of your background, but also because of your current venture as well. So I'm excited to explore the AI element and the veteran element of things. And so I want to steal your thunder, though. So if you would take a few moments and just tell us who's Heather, who are we chatting with here today?
Great. Yeah, I'm Heather McLean, the CEO and co-founder of McLean Forrester. We are a technology firm specializing in emerging technology, AI, and data and modernization. A little bit about my background. I am retired Air Force, so I did 20 years in the Air Force, mostly in leadership positions. Um, and then kind of worked my way into the corporate world, where I spent 11 years working for a global organization. And when I left there, I was part of their leadership team for a 400-person software engineering group. And we built just some amazing capabilities for Fortune 500 companies that you've probably heard of. So took all of that and brought that to my new business, McLean Forrester, which we started about 3 years ago.
Wonderful. And so you're in leadership in the Air Force, 20 years there. What type of commands and section? Because the Air Force get pretty broad in its leadership. There's a lot of
It's
leadership in the
big,
Air
yeah.
Force.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, do you know Bob?" And it's like, there's 10,000 people on base. So but I, started out as a supply officer doing supply chain optimization and then went up to the headquarters for Air Mobility Command where I was doing that during 9/11. We were managing global logistics for basically the entire Department of Defense, so getting everything where it needed to go for the war effort. And then just continued my career in supply and logistics, and then eventually got into IT and ran a very large IT portfolio, and eventually got into agile software development.
That's great. No, that's so interesting because when I was, I remember once I heard a story. I was in the military, and when we were overseas, someone was like trying to ship back or ship forward some type of big radar system, and they did the math wrong. And instead of ordering one C5, they ordered two C17s, and it flew all the way there across the world to transport this thing, and then there was nothing to transport. Couldn't be fitted into two different aircraft. So that was that math's important. We used to say I was a joint for air control. We used to say you should always carry the one. And so it's
Yeah.
really important to carry that one sometimes. God, you have to math.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
that's
What
funny.
service were you in?
I was with First Reconnaissance for the Marine Corps. And so I have a lot of people who would always tell me, like, hey, do you know this one guy? He's about this tall, blonde, white guy. I'm like, 80% of the Marine Corps you just described, right?
Exactly.
It's 35,000 people on this military base. So,
Yeah.
no, very rarely have I actually, the world is small. I was overseas in Philippines and I bumped into someone I knew from high school. So it is the biggest, smallest world that you can
Yes,
sometimes experience.
it is for
Um,
sure.
and so what is agile IT? Like, what is agile software? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so there's two main methodologies for building software. One is called waterfall, where you spend lots of time defining everything up front, and then you go away for a long time and build the thing. And there's a lot of flaws in that because you really don't know everything up front. You never really do. And so you're just sort of guessing, and then you hope it's going to come out well on the other end. Whereas agile, you're doing that same process over and over and over very, very quickly. So you take a little bit of requirements, you build the thing, you get feedback, and then you adjust, and then you take the next feature and you do the same thing, and it allows the client or the person who's the product owner to shape and flex and be agile with how the product is built. So you might build something, and then you might show it and they say, "Oh, I don't really like that, can we do this instead?" No problem, we'll do that in the next
Yeah.
iteration. So it's very flexible, and it gives you a lot of control over the outcome.
No, that's well said. And very important, I think, in today's environments where companies are building and launching software at the same time that their organization is expanding. So it's not like this draconian kind of approach where, like, I know what I want our software to do 5 years from now. Let's build it 5 years from now. We're in a world where, I mean, we started HubSpot this year, and at the end of the year, we just go high level and we'll do completely different rebuilds because of a change that was made in the organization, and you just kind of have to flex and shift a lot quicker this
Right.
world that we live in now than we used to be able to.
Right. And with the advance of AI code assists, you can build software much quicker now. And so you can throw out a prototype, decide what you want to do with it. You could throw it away and start over. And it's a lot cheaper to do that than it used to be a long time ago.
No, I think you work agile is definitely great for early stage companies. And so what type of early stage companies do you generally work with? What industry?
We target SMBs. We do go for large organizations, but our ideal client is that SMB, someone at the leadership level who maybe wants to get into AI. They don't know where to start, or they have budget and they're not quite sure what to build, or they're ready to build something. So it's really trying to work towards the outcome that that organization is looking to get out of it, instead of talking about features or you know lines of code.
I like that. We use AI throughout our organization, to everything from automations to fully functioning agents and bots. But I want to continue doing more. I'm actually going to a conference. I'm a part of something called the Dynamite Circle that I've recently joined, which is remote companies that like network and socialize with entrepreneurs. And we're having an AI workshop in Mexico City. And so
Nice.
where it's like, okay, you don't know how you want to expand AI into your business, and we're using it, but I've always felt like I've under leveraged both automations and AI. I feel like I use them like a
Right.
child.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole new skill you have to learn. So you kind of have to start at the beginning. And what's your tool of choice right now?
Whew, I use Cloud Code. I use OpenClaw. We use GBT across the entire organization. We use custom GBTs in every department generally. Everything from what we post to answering complex questions. And so we,
Hmm.
we have one that I particularly love, continuously developing, called Voice and Choice, answering questions like Cody. And
Nice.
so, like,
Nice.
how do we create consistent, responses to emails and challenges and problem solving across the entire organization? And every time we have some type of unique client situation or virtual staffing situation, we update our knowledge base, and we update our instructions, so we can continue to make it better. It's how the producer of this podcast does all their social media posts, and how they review and approve content by expanding Cody's decisions without involving Cody. Right.
That's wonderful. You've basically created a digital twin of yourself, and now you can be everywhere, right?
Oh, so funny. I just was talking to one of my board members and former partners of mine. We exited a healthcare company together, and I sent him the GBT. I was like, "Hey, listen, you should just in case you want to make wiser decisions, I think you should use my GBT." And he fell out of his chair. He's like, you would create a GBT that makes choices like you, like
That's
great way to.
brilliant. I mean,
That's
that's what
exact word.
entrepreneurs need to be doing, right? Because you can't be everything everywhere.
Oh, I think what's great about that and what it introduces to this world, and I think about AI when I had an AI healthcare company. We were the kind of the new early stage of AI and triage and stuff. And I remember making that organization, just wishing like I had the basic tools we have today, making that how much easier it would have been to make that organization, and how much time I save every week not doing
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I've always thought about it as it's my job to eventually replace myself with the new people who are doing all the things that I'm doing, because eventually I want to kind of sit back and travel and let other people run the company. That's the goal.
correct. I mean, I'm so guilty of it all the time. So guilty of traveling, and like tomorrow morning, I will be surfing most of the morning because I'm
Nice.
just not needed, right? And it's great. It's like I'm. slowly using AI, and I'm sure that you kind of identify like where the low hanging fruit is when you start working with clients. Like, oh, what are you trying to accomplish? At Telehelping Group, we use the words jobs to be done, right? What job are you trying to accomplish? And we kind of work
Mhm.
backwards from that when solutioning for people. And so, what would you find, and as the most common thing that a business owner is trying to, have AI take over for them?
I would say probably manual processes, right? We always tell people start with your pain points and then go to opportunities. Like pain points are the things that you feel pain over every day. And a lot of the times it's manual processes or legacy systems, and you have to go get data out of six different places to make a decision. So it's those types of painful processes that you know could be better.
No, that's great. I mean, w- I think our biggest application right now is speed to lead, right? And so we have live. I love live people. I'm one of the first resistance. I feel like this is I'm in the ages of Arnold Schwarzenegger's, and this is the world's coming to an end with AI. Joking, but I'm like the first like anti AI voice person. When I call anything and an AI person answers, I will hang up. Right,
Right. Right.
and so I we have an AI answer on our phones, but the first thing it says is like, "Oh, you're attempting to contact Cody." Cody's currently on a call right now, and his assistant is unavailable to answer the phone as well. Would you like him to call you back, or would you like me to assist you? Right? Like we want to get them an answer. We want to push them forward in the process without it just going to voicemail and then wondering what was this random phone number that called us that didn't leave us a voicemail. So we like to cover those small gaps
Mhm.
because you lose clients there, you lose leads there, and so that's generally what we try to apply it for.
Yeah, that's a really good use case. I mean, especially when you have a small staff. So,
Correct. Yeah, I like to keep it well, I like nice profit margins, and so I
don't
I
we
try
all?
it's a staffing can generally eat away at good profit, and so, I think that one thing that we started using it, and so, big fan of Six Sigma, right? And trying to
Mhm.
understand, like, what we're all doing. All my staff, every person tracks what they do on a daily basis. And so even myself, because I'm all about, I'm not a do as I say, not as I do person, right? I like leading by example, military
Mhm.
leadership style, right? And so we do time tracking and productivity tracking to see what everyone's doing and
Mhm.
to see if there are opportunities for automation. Do we need another, product manager, or is it really that product manager is wasting too much time on things we can automate?
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so those are really great ways to get ahead of, you know, headcount mistakes.
Yeah, love that idea. Yeah, and then you can just feed all that into your AI and figure out what to do.
I think that it's really great the model that you're having going. And so if someone, and I'm curious because I've thought about this because I right now I lead a lot of our AI innovation, which means if I'm leading a lot of it, which means I'm now the bottleneck for it. And so
Yes.
just being honest. um, if I'm the bottleneck, it means that you have to choose between Cody wanting to figure out the new direction of an AI process and automation, or surfing, and then we're really in trouble, right? But how would someone go about engaging you? What's the process? And I'll be honest with you. It may be custom, but what's the cost of something like this looking like? Because these are personal questions that I'm interested in.
Right. You mean to engage McLean Forrester? I'm gonna give you a great consultant answer. It depends. That's because we do everything from strategy, which could be just a small consulting engagement, all the way through build out a solution, right? We've been working one of our AI product builds, we've been working with this client for 9 months with a full development team. But another client, we might have 1 or 2 consultants just working 20 hours a week to kind of help get them their strategy put together. So it's really does depend, and we really try to focus on just giving you the valuable outcomes. We don't want to waste your time. We try to be good stewards of our clients' resources, put ourselves in their shoes, and really give them the most bang for the buck when we go into an engagement.
I like that. That's interesting. I'll have to, 'kay, I've been thinking about just because AI, if you're not thinking about AI, then you're probably not thinking too much in the future. so, so if you're listening to this, do something AI, anything. That's something because I just really want to put especially it's our slow months. And I think the best time to build is
Mhm.
when you're not chasing new clients because new clients are a lot of energy.
Right.
And we're generally never slow, but man, we work with a lot of finance organizations. So when it is end of year and it's tax
Mhm.
season, which we just started slowing down,
Yeah.
thank goodness, a little breather, we're crazy, right?
Mhm.
But I love that model. And so my thought process is when you're not doing all of this and running the organization and being techie, what's life outside of the CEO and founder world for you? Do you have hobbies that are non-tech related or
Yeah,
are they
I
actually
do.
tech related? Okay, cool.
Well, first I have, we have 6 children, we're a blended family, but I have 4 still in the kinda college years, so, visiting daughters at college or taking care of them when they're coming home, so that takes a lot of that's the mom side of me. And then, I love to cook and I love to travel, so I've got a little I like to make cooking TikToks. I know it's kind of funny, but I just think it's fun to
I love it.
cook and show somebody else how they might be able to do something new, so that's fun.
No,
And
I mean,
travel the world.
that's really cool that you do that. I like cooking too. I would definitely never do a cooking TikTok though. Mm, I don't want to be responsible for someone's dinner being messed up.
Well, they mess it up. You give them the good
Correct.
instructions.
I have a disclaimer. This is not professional cooking advice, right?
Right, right.
Um,
I'm an
so
amateur.
yeah, just like a financial statement at the very bottom. Like,
Yeah,
don't really. I'm just guessing, and I want you to watch me mess up. But I've really gotten into cooking myself. I find it to be therapeutic, right?
yes,
It's doesn't involve much technology, and the most
right.
technology I'm using is my conversation with GBT to navigate. If I cook the tomahawk correctly, right?
Yep, definitely. I'll just find a recipe that I like or something on TikTok, and I'll just try to recreate it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, so but it's always
No,
fun.
I think that's very founder-esque, having things you have to
Yeah.
have something that is outside of what you do, right? My wife, also a founder, and she makes plant TikToks, and at
Cool.
first, my thought process like, "What's wrong with you?" Right? Like, you're
Plants are
making plant
mysterious. Nobody knows what to do with them. Nobody knows what happens when they get unhealthy, so this is great.
Hey, listen, there are this is the only this tree behind me, it's the only fake part of my entire house. There are so many plants in this home. So she does unboxings she'll order plants online, she'll unbox them with my son and then repot them. So and they have my son helps her water them. So they have that thing, right? And I think that you you definitely need that outside of the entrepreneur. Um, I find interesting. I'm also a blended family, and so uh, blended family dynamics is kind of like running a startup sometimes.
That's a really great analogy. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, it really is. There's yeah, but most of ours are all grown.
Sometimes the systems don't talk. They speak
Right.
different languages occasionally.
Right, like, "We used to do it like that, and we used to do it like this," and, you have to try to figure out how to do it in the new way, I guess.
Oh, when I first started being in my oldest, I call her my bonus daughter. When I started being in her life, she was 6, and I was the coolest thing in the entire world. Right? Um, she's 14 now, and so so
You might
I'm
not be so
pretty
cool
much the
anymore.
worst person in the entire world now. In the beginning, when she started, like around like 10 or 9 or so, we started having a shift. She became a teenager before she even had the
Mm.
double digits. And she would when she didn't want me to be involved or she wanted to do not what Cody wanted to be done, she would speak in Spanish. And so
Oh,
unfortunately for her, I understand too much Spanish now and I speak too much Spanish. So that's out the window for
didn't
her.
work. Yeah.
But it's like dealing with you know, a rowdy employee sometimes.
Well, I have good news for you. It does get better. It does, and the
I hope
older
so.
they get, they come around and like, "Oh, maybe you do know what you're talking about, or maybe you were a little bit wise than when I thought you were stupid." So, they'll come around.
Right.
Need to
And I think
get to
as
their
I tell my
20s.
wife all the time, life is as much as we want to joke about how small how short it is. it's a really long road, right? And it's just a long, straight path. And sometimes you're just sitting there and like, oh, well, it's never going to end. It's always going to be like this. Give it time. This
Right.
too shall pass, as they say. And so I'm excited for her. I'll wait it out for her. And so,
You'll
but
get it.
eh,
She'll come around.
I heard someone say once the true sign of wealth is having your kids that like you as adults. And so that's something that I'm aiming
Hmm.
for.
It's pretty amazing. And now I love going out now and hanging out with my children as adults, and, they can order a drink and we can have a nice, meal at the restaurant, but they'll still expect you to pay. So just remember that. They're
Oh
always
man.
there for a free meal.
They're that does who picks up the check never changes. Understood.
No, no, I'm
Oh,
waiting though. I'm waiting for that day when they'll pick up the check, but
that's fine. I am generally a pick up the check person, and so
yeah, we are
I, f-
too.
I feel like when being that I live in Cabo, Mexico, most people when they come to visit here, they're on vacation, and so if they stay at my house, like okay, great, like you're staying at Hotel Cody, right? And
There you
so
go.
like, we go out to dinner and everything, like I'll pay for it, and we go somewhere do some excursion, I'll pay for it, and so I feel like it's like me trying to like give them an experience of where I live. So
That's really cool. I love that.
yeah, where are you located? I did not grab that in the beginning. Oh, very nice. You know what always escapes me? That arch. And so I'm not quite sure why we built it. And so
Have you
I
been to
get it.
it?
I have. It is very, very
Massive.
magnificent. It is a huge thing. And so um the conspiracy theory is that the Air Force built it, right? Which is why I brought it up. Because it's actually a portal to another dimension that
Mhm.
we no longer use. So
That's kind of a cool theory, but I don't know.
that doesn't hold water. I agree. So I tried. I tried. Sorry, folks. I tried to get there. Well, note that I love that you have that family dynamic, and it's great having a blended family. We actually have a lot of folks on here that have blended family. It seems like an entrepreneurial thing, just to be
Hmm,
honest with you. I'm
that's
seeing a
interesting.
trend because I get a lot of opportunities to align with people, and I've
Yes,
gotten a lot of great advice from folks who have experienced what I've experienced, and so that would be an interesting data point that I'm sure Deloitte probably has already looked into
right.
in regards to entrepreneurs and their family makeup.
Mhm. I mean, maybe it symbolizes that you like to take risks, or you are good with excitement and ever-changing things in your life, and that's what you need to have to be a good entrepreneur.
Well, I recently well said. And I recently saw a movie on Netflix. I don't get to watch a lot of TV, but my wife was having girls' night, and so I have nothing else to do, right? And so I was watching this movie called Hunger, and I don't know. It was a Taipei based movie, and essentially, it's about this woman who grew up with nothing, and she is experiencing this path of really what does it take to be successful, right?
Mm,
Right, and everyone around her when she sort of made it. She had a sponsored restaurant. She was a very famous chef. People knew who she was, and like, oh, great, you can come home now and visit us more frequently. And she's like, this is just the beginning. Like, this is I haven't made it. And I remember having that conversation with my wife once, and like one of my correction, my first wife. And so, and she's like, well, you got this great company, like you don't have to work so hard. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I just got to the NFL. I hadn't even played my first game yet. Like, I'm
right.
just showing up at this. And, I think entrepreneurship represents that. So does the military at large as well, right? You're committing yourself to something that's
Mhm.
bigger than you that requires, as we say in the recon community, the only thing it takes is everything you've got, and so just a
Yeah, I
blank
like that.
check, right? And so that's an interesting thing, and I see that that impacts many people in entrepreneurship and the military. Very
Yeah.
similar thing.
It's something to It's something to know when you are part of something bigger than yourself. You always feel like you have a purpose. There's a mission. I'm not just trying to get rich or trying to learn a skill, right? You're trying to help the greater good, the greater organization. I think that's very inspirational to a lot of people.
they do say that that's why military members make good entrepreneurs, because we come from this like organizational approach of an ant colony. Like, okay, we're all lifting our own weight here and we're all doing our own job. And because of that, we can move Earth. And so,
Right.
um, I mean, I think if you chase money, it's a very short trip, right? And it's very hollow. Right? I think there's a lot of folks who become entrepreneurs because they want to make a lot of money, but it's that was me at once. I just had this really, I just wanted to make so much money. I just wanted to like not grow up poor. And then, right, that was why I got into entrepreneurship. But now I've learned through a lot of failure that that's not the case. That's not what drives you to success,
Right.
the chase for money.
Right. You got to play a long game, right? It's not even about what's the next year or two. It's that, what's 10 years down the road? What's the long game that you're playing?
I agree. And with that, what would what's your motivate? I mean, you retire from the military. You didn't want to like become a
Right.
professional TikTok video
No,
creator for
I don't
cooking
I don't think I
channel.
could make money at that. I got a little disillusioned with corporate life and corporate America. I just consistently saw organizations making decisions around profits instead of people. So when I started my company, that was my driving motivation, was to build a company where people and clients come first above profits. And can we do that and still be successful? And I think 3 years in, we've shown that that's completely possible. So we focus on those 2 things and that's it.
I think that's, I try to make decisions that are best for people throughout the process for my team, right?
Yeah, right.
And for the virtual staff that we provide to our clients. If I find that that client's not the best suit for the business, it's not going to be a good, healthy relationship for us. And it's
Right.
not going to be a healthy relationship for the virtual assistant. We generally terminate just because we all know how those relationship goes. And it's just not
Right.
worth the money.
No, it's not. I mean, and you have to put up boundaries that protect your people as well. So good for you.
Tough decisions though. I will say,
Yes.
there were early clients that I would have loved to have fired, but I needed them to pay
Mm,
me. So would you say
trade
it's
off.
definitely a luxury?
I would, yes, for sure. Especially, like you said, when you're first starting, you pretty much want to take every client that comes to you. And then it is a luxury to be able to be more choosy. So that means you must have made it, you must be successful at this point.
I am not hungry. And so I think that's also a problem. I recently, it's not a problem, I don't think, but I recently did a short video when I was at the beach walking my dog at sunset and well, sunrise or sunset, one of those things. I didn't know if the day was starting or ending. But I either think I'm too content or not hungry. I'm not quite sure which one it is.
Hmm.
I work really hard, and I think half effort as an entrepreneur is probably better than a lot of folks. But I do think that you wouldn't want to come to me right now and say, Cody, let's start a business together. I'd probably be your worst partner. You wouldn't want me. If I would invest in you, but I probably will not be the guy who's like beating the ground.
Well, maybe it's a different stage in your life and you get to make choices about where you give your time and energy, right? That's a luxury too. That's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I do have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old,
Yeah.
so
Well,
that is where
those
my
are good choices.
priorities. Yeah, I and I'm not going to ask your age because that's not polite. But I will say Deloitte recently did a huge research where they said that the average entrepreneur becomes an entrepreneur between the ages of 40 and 45,
Hmm.
and so they say that because at that point in time, kids are off to college, not
Mhm.
paying for their own food, but they're off to college doing their own thing, right? You have additional time. You've
Mhm.
accumulated a degree of experience and expertise, and hopefully something by that time, and you're wanting to do something fresh. And so that's why they find. So Deloitte has created an algorithm that can identify people before they become entrepreneurs, and
Interesting.
so and then cherry pick them. So it's an interesting
Hmm.
approach. One of our current AI clients told me that he does an AI solution a little bit different than what you're offering. His is very niche, but I thought that was interesting. So maybe I'm just at the lull of my career. I started early. I'm going to just hang out for a while, and then maybe later on I'll get feisty again.
You're in a very chaotic family time, so
I can, you can't hear them, but I can hear them on the other side of this. I
that's
got to double
normal,
check to make
right?
sure this door's locked.
And like you said, like, I'm out of that phase. My kids I'm empty nesting and, so I have lots of time to build and dedicate to the business, so that's a pretty good theory.
Did you find that your partner was, helpful or resistant to you becoming an entrepreneur? What was that like in becoming a later stage entrepreneur, which
Mm.
technically Deloitte says is the prime of entrepreneurship? So, what was that like,
I
leaving
mean,
your
my
probably
husband.
well-paying corporate job?
Yeah, so he was pretty patient. But, I mean,
It's just
I think
like,
he could.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he could say how that was burning me out and just really wasn't. I was pretty burnt out when I left, and so he's always been so supportive, like, "What do you wanna do?" "I'll help you." He's actually our chief growth officer, and he is, in charge of sales and growth for us and doing an amazing job and never having really been in a role like that before, so it's been wonderful to work alongside each other because we'd worked in proximity to each other in past being in the military, but never, you know, CEO and CGO, never building a business together. So that's been pretty amazing. That's been a nice surprise. I mean, I knew we'd work well together, but it's really good and we enjoy it still.
I love that. Yeah, um, I can definitely say there are of my ex-wives. I know it's plural. I'm sorry. I've really prioritized other things that weren't relationships for a great deal of my life. But I would have hated to work with them. Couldn't have done it in my life. But me and my current wife, a lot of people don't know this, but she is the original CEO of telehelping, and so
Nice.
when it was telehelp. And so she ran I was running a healthcare company. So I was the founder of a startup. And so I was running a large healthcare company at the time. And then she started this company to complement and staff my
Mhm.
organization. So and she's also, technically the founder of our restaurants and stuff. So she's actually quite an entrepreneur, but
Nice.
she doesn't really know it. She doesn't really accept it. And she works inside telehelping as well, not in a leadership role, but she works within the organization and does. She definitely leads to a certain degree all of our placement and hiring, and
Nice.
so she's just really, really good with people,
Aw.
and she knows people really well, so she enjoys that.
It sounds like you enjoy working together as well.
We do. I enjoy it. I'm better at compartmentalizing than she is. And
Mm.
so we'll be sitting there like going on our date night, which is every Friday, regardless of what's going on. And so we'll be going out and she'll be talking. I'm like, can we hold that for Monday? I'm gonna need you to park
Oh,
that.
that's hard.
Ask me one work question at dinner so I can use the company credit card and then stop chatting with me.
That's tough. Yeah, we don't stop talking about work, but it's very fun for us. We're both passionate about it, so
Yeah, I will say we're so bad about it. We talk about when we talk about hypotheticals. I generally try to stay because we are different. So you have your husband who's the chief growth, and then you are the CEO. My wife is more like a senior, like a manager in the organization,
mhm,
and we have several folks in the organization. So she's more of a manager. So I have to when I chat with her about things, I like keeping it pretty, high level. Just because she wants to chat with me about the things that I really don't want to chat about. And so I don't want to know what happened with an individual inside the organization, right? I don't want to know that. I want to know like, oh, like here's what we're launching for our 2026 vision, right? This is what we're going to do. Let's chat
yep.
about that. But that's fun, and I'm much better at it than she is, and so sometimes she'll catch herself. She's like, okay, I won't talk to you about it. I'll go talk to Natalie instead. That's super funny.
Yeah.
So he supported you in the transition,
Mhm.
right? um was he in the sales before, or like you start picking up a little bit of steam and then he jumped over? How did that work?
Right. He was still working. He's also retired Air Force, then became a government civilian. So he was still working in that position, which was great because that kind of helped, pay the bills when I was starting the business. And then once he retired from that, he joined us about a year and a half ago. So
How does military retirement work? Because I'm medically retired, and so I
okay,
was medically retired. So I just kind of got out and like, hey, we're going to pay you every month because you're broken. And so I was like, okay. And so, but when you retire, because you're not retirement age, and
no,
so
not yet.
so you're very far from retirement age. So do you receive retirement after you exit, or is there a waiting period?
Well, that's a good question. And we sort of cover both use cases. So he retired from active duty. So he starts getting his retirement money right away. So he's been collecting that for 11, 12 years. I'm reserve retired. So I have to wait until I'm 54 and a half before I can start collecting my retirement. So that's kind of my goal. Like I need to get to that age before I
Try to
can, yeah, that's the pin out there that I'm trying to get to. And then we can back off a little and travel.
you know, it's so funny you say that because I think once our children are all gone, that's what I'm going to. If we own businesses still, sell everything, right? Exit everything, and my wife and I, because my
Yeah.
older brother, he's medically retired, and he lives a fairly. He still does government contracting, and so
Hmm.
he's still a GS working with somebody. Um, and then my little brother's like, he called me one day. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to go surfing." And he's like, "Okay." I'm like, "But then I have to go to work and meeting." He's like, "Well, you don't have to go anywhere, right?
True.
Some of us have to go to work."
Isn't that the best part about being an entrepreneur? You're just like, you get to pick your schedule. I mean, yes, you have obligations and you have
Correct.
commitments, but there's no boss telling you they have to go do this or that. So I love it.
Yes, if you get that accomplishment done, like like tomorrow morning, lie on sales calls, so I can push my normal morning meeting back to
Hmm.
10, and I could surf for 2 whole hours at the
Nice.
best part of the day, and then I come in, and the thing is my team starts at 7 a.m., so they've been working for 3 hours, depending what time zone they're in, and so
Yes.
I come into an organization that's ready for Cody to sit down and figure out, okay, what challenges do we have? What do I need my input on? But it's already been accomplishing so much. If you
Perfect.
can achieve that, and because some of us become slaves to our own
Hmm.
building, right? We create this building around us, and we're like, I'm my own boss. I can't leave my office.
Right.
so so that's challenging. Would
Exactly.
you say that you have built a machine that gives you flexibility yet? Or are you at a flexibility stage? 3 years in is pretty, still early still.
It's still pretty early, but I think after leaving corporate, I was like, no more of this like working all hours of the day. So I think I have pretty good boundaries and I have pretty flexible schedule. So unless it's a client meeting, I can pretty much move things around, which is great. That gives me a lot of freedom.
That is my one rule. I do not move client meetings. And so I will, everyone else, and everyone listening on my team, because they listen to my podcast, they know I move meetings. And so,
Right.
it's so interesting. You and your husband should look at, I don't know if you've ever heard of the dynamite circle, but you should look at the dynamite circle. Just because for two ranks, you're a remote organization, correct?
All
So
virtual.
so one thing I love about it is you work with all other remote organizations, right? And they put you with early stage people, there's senior level ones, right? And there's depending on what type of entrepreneur you are, they're
Hmm.
fairly large, like 3,000 people.
Wow.
Um, but my favorite thing that I think you'll really enjoy is they have summits twice a year in different parts of the world. And so it's a really good reason to go to
Yes.
a conference in Mexico City. It's a really good reason to go to a conference in Barcelona, right? And so and then at the same time, you're sitting down with people who are maybe running similar businesses, right? Similar backgrounds, and or, to be honest with you, potential clients, right? And so you're getting to sit down with people who are running real businesses, prioritize similar things that you prioritize,
Mm,
and then also are entrepreneurs. I definitely look into it. It's just to be like a basic member it's nominal. It's not
okay.
expensive at
I will
all.
definitely check
Uh,
that out. Thanks for the tip.
so of course. Well, Heather, we are coming to the end of our time together, and I've really enjoyed a really good casual conversation,
Yeah,
effortless,
me too.
which is not always the case. And so, just putting it out there, there are podcasts that never got posted. But when I wrap up, what's interesting about your background is you are a mom, a wife, a veteran, and a CEO. And so you have so many perspectives on what, kind of life can bring at you and what you can experience. So what would you say would be like that well-rounded, solid piece of advice that you give someone who's considering entrepreneurship? Like if because you have so many buckets to
Oh,
pull
yeah.
from, what would be that advice?
Don't be afraid to do it. Just take the leap, because if you have the itch, then you have the drive to do it. And so I would just say just go for it, and there's plenty of people out there to help. So don't worry about being alone or do it by yourself. You can get the help you need.
Love it. I'm going to take that short that's going to be created from that one little piece there. I'm going to send it to my best friend who has just always refused to take the leap. He
Oh,
just
take the
won't.
leap.
So I'm going to push him off the edge. So I've been trying to push him off the edge for 10 years. Uh,
Oh,
well, Heather, thank you so much for joining my podcast. It's been an absolute
thank
pleasure
you.
having you on.
You
Looking
too.
forward to continue to stay connected and follow your organization's journey.
Thank you, Cody. Yeah, it was great being here, and I enjoyed the conversation so much. Thanks.
Thank you for watching The Faces. Entrepreneurs are people too. Please like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Spotify so you do not miss any of our content just like today. We really appreciate you being one of our viewers and see you soon.